Inside the dark empire of Nigerian 419 scams, the untold origins, masterminds, and global victims. In every corner of the world, there are stories the night tries to hide, stories whispered by those who tasted greed, and by those who fell into its trap. Tonight, we open a chapter that stretches from dusty Lagos streets to inboxes across the globe. A crime that became a legend, a promise that fooled millions, a scheme older than the internet itself. This is the story of the Nigerian 419 advance fee scams, and the men and women who shaped its rise. Long before the world learned the number 419, before the emails, and before the inbox became a battlefield, there was a Nigeria struggling against the weight of change. And like all nations in transition, shadows began to form. Long, dangerous shadows. I tell you this story not as a judge, but as an elder who has watched the world move like a restless river. Every river has whirlpools. And people are swept inside when hunger, chaos, and opportunity meet. In the late 1970s, Nigeria tasted wealth. Oil money flooded the streets. New buildings rose like tall promises. Families dreamed of better futures. But as quickly as it came, the wealth vanished. Government corruption, failed programs, military takeovers. The country plunged into a deep economic night. Jobs disappeared. The currency fell like a stone. And a generation of young, educated Nigerians found themselves stranded. Sharp minds with no place to go. This was where the seeds of 419 were planted. Not in darkness, but in desperation. You see, when a man is hungry but clever, he looks for new doors. And when all doors are locked, he learns to carve his own. It began quietly. Letters written with flowery English, crafted by young men who grew up reading Shakespeare and Dickens. They had a way with words. They knew how to paint dreams with ink. And they learned one powerful truth. People everywhere want something for nothing. They called their early letters come and carry. Schemes, promises of leftover riches, abandoned inheritances, forgotten fortunes. If the victim paid a small fee, the writer claimed, they could unlock millions. At first, these letters traveled by post. Thousands were mailed across Europe, the US, Asia. It was a wide net cast into a deep sea. Many ignored them, some laughed, and yet, a surprising number answered. And every reply gave birth to more letters. Every dollar sent from a faraway land made the writers believe, yes, this thing works. By the early 1990s, the world was changing again. Computers hummed in offices. The young men who once wrote with pen now typed with 10 fast fingers. And when the internet arrived, it was like handing wings to a creature already designed to fly. The scam didn't evolve. It exploded. The emails became longer, more emotional, more urgent. The writers learned to mimic diplomats, princes, widows, oil ministers. They borrowed the voices of power and tragedy. With one click, they could reach 10,000 inboxes. Some days, a single sender would send 100,000 messages. This was not a small hustle anymore. It was an industry. But you must understand something, child. Every crime has a face, even when the world only sees the smoke. Behind each email was a real person. Someone with a family, someone running from poverty, someone chasing status, someone who believed that if the world refused to give them a chance, they would take it. And with every successful scam, the legend of 419 grew. Some of the early players became wealthy, buying cars, building houses, forming circles of influence. They walked through neighborhoods like kings of the underground world, respected by some, feared by others, and despised by those they scammed. But there was a darker side. Success bred rivalry. Greed bred violence. And authority took notice. Police raids grew more frequent. International agencies began tracking digital footprints. But like smoke slipping through fingers, the scammers adapted. They hid behind proxies, fake IDs, unregistered SIM cards, and disposable cybercafés. Some say they became ghosts. But I say they became teachers of a dangerous craft. By the mid-2000s, the scam was no longer a Nigerian secret. Young criminals in other countries copied the format. Entire global rings formed, in Ghana, South Africa, Spain, Malaysia. The number 419 became a global symbol, a warning, a shadow with a Nigerian accent but global footprints. Still, the world kept falling for it. Why? Because the scammers understood something deep about human nature. Hope can make a person blind. Greed can make a person deaf. Loneliness can make a person trust a stranger. And so, from small village cybercafés to international criminal networks, the 419 scam became the most recognizable advance fee fraud in history. But the roots? They go back to those early days, to a country in pain, to young men staring at closed doors, to letters written with trembling hands, to the belief that if the world will not give you wealth, you must take it by imagination. Tonight, we walk deeper into that world. We will meet the masterminds, the victims, the hunters, and the hunted. This tale is long and filled with shadows, but remember, child, every shadow is cast by something real. And the truth behind 419 is darker and more human than most imagine. In those years when the 419 game grew teeth, a new kind of player rose from the chaos. Not the reckless boys chasing fast money, but patient minds who studied the craft like scholars. They called them the strategists. These were men who watched everything. The markets, the foreign news, even the changing habits of lonely hearts across oceans. They understood something simple. If you know what a person desires, you can lead them anywhere. Some worked alone. Some formed tight crews. But the sharpest among them built networks, webs spanning cybercafés, corrupt officials, and money mules across continents. They learned which stories worked best. The dying widow. The stranded prince. The frozen inheritance waiting for one brave partner. Each tale crafted like a fisherman's hook. And when a victim replied, the strategist switched tones, warm, trusting, sorrowful, even spiritual. They didn't just scam. They performed. But behind the charm was a hard truth. The scam was no longer survival. It had become ambition. Money flowed in, sometimes thousands at a time, and with wealth came danger. Rival crews watched each other, ready to snatch victims, contacts, even territory. Police raids forced them to relocate overnight, shifting from cafe to cafe like drifting ghosts. Still, the strategists adapted. And the game moved forward. Far from Nigeria's crowded streets lived the people who carried the deepest scars of the 419 story, the victims. They came from every corner of the world, but many shared the same emptiness, loneliness, financial stress, or the quiet hope that life might finally turn in their favor. Some were elderly. Some were sick. Some were dreamers who trusted too easily. In one case, a retired teacher in Canada believed she was helping release a diplomat's fortune. She sent money, then more, than everything she had. When she realized the truth, her voice cracked like dry wood. I just wanted to matter to someone. In another case, a businessman in Germany sold his car to pay customs fees. He thought he was a partner in a secret oil deal. He ended up alone, ashamed to tell even his family. These stories were not rare. They were waves, each one breaking on the same shore of false hope. You must understand, child. Most victims were not foolish. They were simply human. And the scammers knew exactly which strings to pull. But as the losses grew, the victims began to fight back. Governments launched campaigns. Banks flagged suspicious transfers. Some victims even tracked scammers, exposing their names online. Yet the game continued, shifting, bending, evolving. Because every time fear rose, another person somewhere in the world felt lonely enough, or desperate enough, to believe the next promise. With the rise of global pressure came the era of the hunt. International agencies teamed up with Nigerian forces, launching raids on the dens where the game thrived. Laptops seized, fake documents burned, bank accounts frozen. Some of the biggest players were dragged into light, exposed in handcuffs, their stories unraveling like cracked mirrors. But for every mastermind caught, two new beginners emerged, using newer tricks. Romance scams, fake job offers, crypto traps. 419 was no longer a local craft. It had become a global formula, taught, copied, remixed. And this is the truth that many ignore. 419 isn't just a Nigerian issue. It's a human issue, born from poverty in one place, but fed by greed and vulnerability everywhere. Yet, as time moves on, a new Nigeria rises, one where young minds choose innovation over deception. The nation is more connected, more watched, and more aware. Many reject the shame of 419, fighting to build a different legacy. Still, the story lingers like an old scar. Because scams do not die. They evolve. And the lesson remains the same. Wherever hope is strong and caution is weak, a scammer finds a doorway. The world is full of promises, some true, some deadly. But remember, every email, every message, every offer that sounds too sweet, carries a shadow behind it. If this story opened your eyes, leave a like, share it with someone who may need the truth, and subscribe for more untold stories from the underworld's hidden corners. Until next time, stay sharp, stay safe, and trust your wisdom more than your wishes.